astronauts, it's me, Brandy, and welcome back to Astro Tarot Research. So today's reading is how men view you, and you can apply this to whatever gender you're interested in. I just chose the title, How Men View You, because that's going to be searched the most in the YouTube search bar. So that's that. And before we get into these piles, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research and hit that bell to stay notified of future readings. As for an update on my Black Beauty study, which will be uploaded on my second channel, and the link will be in the description bar below, I should be done that in about 2 weeks. I have finished collecting the data and graphing most of it, so look forward to that. It's not going to be a long video, so it shouldn't take me too long to like edit things and come up with a script and all that jazz. So let us jump into these piles. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Alright guys, let us get into pile number 1. So we have the Star, we have the Two of Pentacles, we have the Ace of Swords, we have the Five of Cups, and we have Judgment. Okay, so when it comes to the Star, they view you as an absolutely beautiful person. I got the Star recently for like a date and whatever, and that was pretty much the impression that I left. I mean, it was their impression of me. So they had a pretty positive impression of me. So it really kind of means that men usually think that you're an attractive person and that you're somebody who really carries themselves well. You really stand out, and overall they just see you as somebody very beautiful, maybe a little bit unobtainable. The Star can also represent somebody who is glamorous and somebody who really likes to have a more, I guess, dramatic appearance. It's less casual whenever I get the Star card in terms of how somebody presents themselves. But it's overall just a positive thing where they feel like you're very well put together and you're special and you kind of stand out in a crowd. I usually get that for the Star. In terms of overall demeanor, it's a more tranquil demeanor, and it's a demeanor that generally gets along with other people and looks out for other people as well. And it's all about thinking positive and keeping a hopeful mindset and having a deep faith. So they may just see you as somebody who is always looking on the bright side, no pun intended, and just somebody who likes to believe and not give in to fear. When we have the Two of Pentacles, however, that's somebody who's either down for like having a lot of fun, just keeping things casual, or it just means that you have a lot on your plate to juggle. It can go either way with these two cards coming together. Notice how the Star has two things it's watering. More than likely they see you as somebody who just has a lot on their plate and is just very busy, not overwhelmed. It's just a matter of just having a lot of things and factors in your life that you need to juggle. Maybe you're like, oh, well, I've got to go to work or school, whatever you're interested in, and maybe you have a second job, and maybe you're like, oh, I gotta balance my social life, and then you're like, oh, but wait, I got some chores I need to do at home, and just a lot of things that you need to juggle and take part of and participate in. Okay, so they just see you as somebody who is a person who is taking life by the horns. Okay, you're not someone who's just wasting away. Okay, just a very active person in terms of what it is that you wish to do. Very ambitious, especially when we have the Star card and the Two of Pentacles coming together. They overall see you as generally an ambitious person. And then in terms of appearance, when it comes to the Two of Pentacles, I normally get that to represent somebody who likes to switch up their looks and who can be very changeable at times. So that's something to think about. Two of Pentacles is still experimenting. It's in a planning stage as all twos are kind of in this planning stage of like testing out theories and seeing what works for them. So they see you as somebody who may experiment a bit with their looks. With the Ace of Swords reversed, now this could be represented of they feel like you may not always communicate exactly what it is that you're thinking, or maybe you have a more passive way to communicate. A lot of people, not just women, men too, will expect other people to pick up on their body language. You know, it's a common thing that you'll see in real life, not just in media, where you have a person come up to someone and say, "Oh, how are you doing?" They're just like, "I'm fine," but they're the furthest thing from fine, okay? So when we have this Ace of Swords here, it's kind of like that "I'm fine" energy, where it's like you have to read between the lines with you in particular. So they don't see your communication as being very straightforward or direct. With this Ace of Swords reverse, it would indicate a lack of honesty, which it doesn't necessarily mean that you're deceptive. It's just saying that your words may not match what you're saying or what you feel or what exactly that it is that you mean to communicate. So a lot of men may find you to be a little bit confusing because you may not be as direct with them as they may like. The Ace of Swords can also represent you have an unusual way of thinking or problem solving. That's something that could possibly be the case with the Ace of Swords, where you are not really taking in the information of other people, because upright Ace of Swords is like, I want to learn everything, da da da. Reverse, it's like, I have my own way of doing things. I have my own way of thinking things through. I have my own way of wanting to communicate with other people, okay? So it's very much individualistic, which kind of goes into that star quality where you're just very unique to men. So they just find that that you just have a very kind of quirky way of communicating. So it could be in that manner as well. And when we have the Five of Cups following this Ace of Swords energy, this lets me know that they feel like you may reflect and think a lot about the past as well as your mistakes or the things that other people may have done to you, maybe hardships you endure, maybe, you know, critical things people may have said to you. Like, you would really take some harsh words to heart, so they feel like that in a sense, where you're not one to just, you know, let words kind of bounce off you. You may say that, but you may be like, but they feel like that you're someone who really remembers the things that people say to you, which are not the most positive, that can be very critical or very negative, okay? So that's something that they'll know or think about you, or how they view you in that manner. So kind of like a more sensitive person, which is obviously nothing wrong with that, right? And Judgment being next to that kind of lets me know that it's reiterating the same message as before, where it's saying you're somebody who just needs that moment to like mourn the past, to just let it go, to, you know, feel your feelings and then, you know, then move on, okay? It's not about like, oh, I'm just holding on to the past for just to hold on. But you're like, no, I need to like fully grieve my feelings and let go. Because, you know, when you're involved in a situation, you're the type of person who really has their emotions involved or connected to it, okay? So you're someone who really needs a moment to, you know, fully transform, to let things go, and to forgive and forget, okay? That's the type of person you are. And then when we have Judgment here, just by itself, men generally see you as somebody who can be very forgiving. So after you have your period of mourning and saying, let bygones be bygones, you're somebody who may open your heart again, maybe to the same person, or maybe just to somebody else who you feel like won't put you through the same situation as you've been in the past, but they don't feel like you're holding on to baggage. That's one thing. Even if you've been through a lot of rough things, the men view you as somebody who doesn't hold on to all of those negative emotions. Like, you're like, I really just got to feel what I feel and then say my piece, because you don't want anything to hold you back. You want to look ahead towards the future. You're that star card here, that energy that's coming through. And then one thing about this is it can create a social circle where people are very, I guess the word could be flirtatious, because we have this Pluto card that represents Pluto and the star card represents Aquarius. So you can kind of treat that as like Pluto and Aquarius. And one thing about, you know, Plutonian energy, and obviously Aquarius is the house of friends and friendships. So it can describe friends who can be very like sexual in nature. So it doesn't necessarily mean your friends are like that, but it could, I mean, you could have friends like that, but it could mean that they feel like you have a lot of people surrounding you who would be interested in you in a romantic or sexual manner. So that's a way that they may view you, like you have a lot of options available to you. So that's something, that's a way that men in particular are seeing you, as well as when we have the Judgment and the Star card coming together, because Aquarius is the sign of, I guess you could say, sort of like massive wealth. It's like income from your work or what you do, and in a way that can represent massive wealth. And when Pluto's there, that can create like either huge debt or huge gains. So they may see you as somebody who may either accumulate a lot of debt or somebody who does their best to accumulate a lot of wealth. It can really go either way, but they view you as somebody, more than likely, it's about building up wealth with these combination of cards and trying to figure out what's the best way to accumulate that. So they see you as somebody who is very goal-oriented in that way. And then not only that, but a part of them feels like you may keep a good amount of your future plans to yourself. So it's almost like this move in silence type of energy that is coming from you. So that is everything that I have. And then obviously Pluto, they just really think you're kind of like they could think you're very flirtatious as well, and very deep with your emotions, and somebody who will more than likely, it's like whenever I see strong Pluto energy, it's like their emotions affect people in a very shocking way. It doesn't just affect them, but it affects the people around them. So they may feel like whenever you're upset, you know, people will know it. You may not say it, but people will feel it, okay? You're not really good at hiding it. It's just that you may not say anything about it. So that's the general consensus of how men view you, but definitely very, very attractive. Plutonian energy is a little bit more, it can be very blatant with the star card there. It's just like very in your face, very much like bodycon outfits, very much like having, you know, the chest area out, the butt area, like looking good and whatever. It's not a subtle energy at all. So that's something to keep in mind, where they're like boom pow when they see you, okay? So that is what I have for you, and thank you for watching pile number 1. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 2, let's get started on how men view you. We have the 5 of Cups. Oh my gosh, we had the last pile. The 3 of Cups, the Page of Cups, the 10 of Cups, and the 2 of Pentacles. This is so interesting. So many cups here. So obviously they see you as an emotional person. And then the 2 of Cups also represents, you know, intuitiveness and partnership as well. So they definitely see you as somebody who's more of a people person, or somebody who just really cherishes close personal relationships, because that's what cups are all about, as well as creativity. So that's something that's to keep in mind. So guys are really picking up on the intuitiveness, the creativity, and the person who enjoys company and partnerships, which makes sense because we have the 3 of Cups and the 10 of Cups and the Page of Cups. So very friendly aura in general. But we have this Five of Cups here, and so there is this little bit of like gloominess and conflict to you. So maybe they feel like you're a little bit more complex of an individual, at least emotionally, is what they are seeing. So it's interesting that we have these cards here, because with this water here, you know, water is very fluid. It comes and goes. So that lets me know that the way men view you changes. And that kind of makes sense when we have this Two of Pentacles here, which is about, you know, different dynamics. One day it's up, one day it's juggling this thing, next thing is juggling that thing. It's involved in that. It's about switching things. Twos are all about planning. So, you know, when you're planning something, things don't always go according to plan. So what I'm getting from this is obviously their perspective of you changes over time, or just in general, day to day. It depends on the day, like depends on your mood, whatever the case may be, depends on the guy. There's not one real super overall impression, other than the fact that you are very good company, that you're somebody who's fun to be around, that you're somebody who can be a little bit of a romantic, that you're somebody who really cherishes close bonds. You're somebody who may be family oriented, or maybe you treat your friends like family, or, you know, colleagues like family. You're somebody who has probably been through a lot of heartbreaks, a lot of disappointments, a lot of rejections, a lot of things that didn't go your way. And you can make light of that situation. You can make fun of yourself. You can make fun of, you know, things that have happened to you. You can make jokes about it. You have a very fun general personality that people are picking up on. Both of these cards rule fun. This is like going with the flow, having fun, and this is just general like having fun, group settings. So they definitely pick up on the fact that you like being surrounded by people. You may even just be a general flirtatious person, because sometimes I get the Three of Cups to represent dating, and I get the Page of Cups to represent like some light flirtation here going on here. So guys may be picking up on that. Overall, with a lot of cups, usually if we're going to go off of physical appearance, it represents somebody who's generally known for having a more pretty face than anything else. So more than likely, something about your face or the way that you express yourself, your expressions, are very noticeable to men. You may have a distinct way of moving your face. That's just, maybe you have like a smile people remember. It's possible that you're somebody who has eyes that people remember. Maybe you have like a distinct nose. Some people have really small noses. Some people have very large noses. Whatever it is, it's something very distinct about your face that's very beautiful to people and that they're taking in. I just saw a video of this one woman who had like this very perfect bone structure. Like, it was just amazing. I've never seen anything like that. So it could be that too. You can have very beautiful bone structure. Whatever it is, it's your face that's really drawing in people, so they really see that on your face. Five of Cups can also be like you have a resting face that kind of looks a little bit sad, or like lost, or like you're in your own world a little bit. Like, you know, obviously when you're going through a tough period, you're probably not super focused on things around you, okay? It's very interesting here because you do see this person concentrating on these Three Cups and completely ignoring the Two Cups that they have behind them. And so that's where we get this factor of you not really paying attention to every single thing. They kind of feel like you're lost in your thoughts a little bit, or maybe even lost in your feelings. So that's something that they may pick up on. So they're like, okay, this person or they just think you look like that. You look like you're not completely focused on your surroundings. Some people just have that look where you're like, is this person lost? Is this person staring at me? Is this person staring off into in the world? They just dazing off? Whatever. It could be something along the lines of that. So you may have an expression that's very much like that. But overall, your vibe is very welcoming. It's very inviting. Men generally feel like very warm around you, very fun. They're like, wow, person has really great energy. Even though they've been through, you know, rough times here with this Five of Cups, they know that you're trying to see the best out of it. The main thing that came to me was like, oh, I'm making fun of some things that upset me, or making light of it, or I'm trying not to let things get the best of me. It's, you know what, this pile may even want to look at pile number 1, because we do have 2 cards here that are repeating from this pile and the first pile, so that might be a reading that resonates with you, maybe not. The main difference though with this pile and that pile is this one's far more emotional, far more intimate, and far more vulnerable. When I get the Page of Cups, that's somebody who's willing to open up a little bit about the things that they've been through, especially with the 10 of Cups here. That's all about feeling connected on a personal level to the people around you. So definitely you're a person who they feel like you're more open about maybe tough things that have happened to you, or your feelings, or something along the lines of that, but there is a more intimate connection when it comes to how men view you. Just somebody who can be very much sort of like a traditional feminine like energy, what you would expect from that. Okay, it's not very, I'm trying to think of an example of somebody. I can't really think of anyone right now, but they just feel like you're open with your feelings. Okay, so you're just open about what's going on, okay? What's going on with you mentally, okay? These cups energy is just, I always get cups to be like a day that it's mainly inside of your head. Like you don't really do much that day. Like if I get a bunch of cups like this for like a day, I know I'm not doing much that day. I'm just doing a lot of thinking, a lot of being in my feels, a lot of contemplation. So they definitely see a lot of contemplation, a lot of being very reflective when it comes to you and how men view you. But generally they see you very cute, very pretty, very much fun to be around. And that's the general impression that men sort of view you as. Maybe even somebody who's potentially like marriage material, something along the lines of that with this 10 of Cups there. It's different to see. Or like even the 2 of Pentacles can represent somebody being from like a different world to you. Like men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So there's a little bit of that energy there where they feel like, wow, this is totally different than what I'm expecting, which makes sense because if you're watching this from a Western society, I don't even know if it's a Western society because I've seen some Eastern societies like this as well. But I know from a Western society perspective, women are more acceptable to be open about their feelings, where else men, it's sort of like stamped down in like childhood or looked down on, and they're like, be a man, don't cry, da 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 da. So that may be the thing that is like, whoa, this person is expressing their feelings. I don't really do that. Like I don't just throw my vulnerabilities and hurts and etc. out there. So that is what I have for you, pal number 2. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 3. Let's get started on how men view you. We have the 10 of Pentacles, Strength, the 8 of Wands, 6 of Wands, and the 9 of Pentacles. So right away, I see that they think that you're very independent and very comfortable with where you are in life, especially with this 10 of Pentacles and the 9 of Pentacles. These 2 cards represent having everything you need and have in terms of levels of comfort, material wealth, or even just confidence in that sense. So obviously they see you as a very, very confident person. And they see you as somebody who may more than likely just be very either business-minded, career-minded, whatever the case may be. They're just like, this is a very independent man, woman, okay? So that's pretty much how men are viewing you. And we have a Strength card here, which is representative of somebody generally having a lot of patience. And if we are to talk about in terms of looks, because I'm pretty sure you guys want to hear that. As I said before, Strength card I usually get to represent somebody who's very like either athletic or muscular or very well built. So like Megan Thee Stallion or something like that would be like a kind of Strength card look. Like you're like, okay, I look like I can handle my own, or look like I'm you know, what's that old term? A brick house, you know what I mean? Like somebody's just like, okay, they're the stallion, you know what I mean? That's the look that they give. It's not necessarily muscular, but it's like, dang, that's a lot. So it's a good thing when you have the strength card here. But in terms of personality, they definitely see you as somebody who's very patient, very dedicated to whatever it is, mainly accomplishing your goals, possibly very, very family oriented. Sometimes you get the Nine of Pentacles. It can represent being like, you know, single parent, single mom, single dad, whatever. There's also the possibility that they see you as somebody who is very much leads with their heart, leads with their passion. Because when we have that strength card there, it connects to the sign of Leo, and Leo is the sign of the heart. You know, the pouring your passions into something, pouring your energy into something. It's very much so a sign that represents romance as well as being very sensual, sexual, etc. like that, okay? Just being very, very much lovey-dovey. So they may see you as somebody who's just very romantic. Definitely an attractive person. When we have this Six of Wands here and this Eight of Wands, they will see you as somebody who more than likely is a little bit of a flirt or a player or something like that. Only because when I get the Eight of Wands, it represents maybe somebody having like a rotation, or maybe somebody having like a lot of people they're talking to. Because the Eight of Wands is like somebody just throwing out, you know, things everywhere and seeing what hits. So they see you as somebody who's like, okay, this person has a lot of people, you know, lined up, you know, ready to talk to, date, whatever. Or maybe you just have a lot of people interested in you, but they look at you and they feel like, okay, this person's probably talking to a lot of different people. That's the general impression that they get from you. It's possibly just because you're so attractive, that's what they get. That's the vibe they get. Especially with the Six of Wands here, this card is about being celebrated, so they feel like you're somebody a lot of people would want to look like, would want to be like, somebody who people feel like they may be a little bit envious of and wish they were in the same position. Excuse me, guys. They feel like you're somebody who a lot of people are just admire, that you have something that a lot of people want. And this could be something involving your physicality, or just maybe generally you have a life that a lot of people would wish they had. So that's how men are viewing you currently. They also see you as somebody who is very, very ambitious, which I mentioned briefly before with the Ten of Pentacles, but that's coming out a lot. And I also get the Ten of Pentacles to sometimes mean traditional in a sense, where you expect to have like maybe the white picket fence, you know, 2.5 children, etc. like that. Or even just having like maybe traditional gender roles, traditional positions in the house, whatever the heck that may be for you. But they may feel like you have a more traditional way of doing things within a relationship. They definitely feel like you're a very loyal person, and you're somebody who they feel like they could potentially settle down with. Like they see you and they're like, okay, this is a man or a woman who I could probably be with long term. You know, they look at you and they see that Ten of Pentacles. They see that like, okay, I gotta really get my life together with this strength card. I gotta really challenge my demons, okay? I've really got to hone that in, okay? So that's something that they see. They also feel like you're the type of person who will call them out on their BS, because that's what the Eight of Wands can do here. The Eight of Wands can just, you know, come in, you know, hard and fast and say, I don't like that you did that. I don't like that you said that to me. I don't like that you spoke to me that way, especially with the Strength card there, which is about courage. So they feel like you're somebody who more than likely will speak their mind. And these two cards together can indicate being like a social butterfly, but if that's really not the case for you, then, you know, it's not the case for you. But I've just seen those two cards come together and they feel like, okay, this person's talking to this person may have a lot of friends. It's either something flirtatious or they feel like you just have a very strong social life. So whatever the case may be, that's what's happening. That's how men overall view you. Definitely a very, very attractive person, just overall attractive. It's usually not one specific area. You might have very nice skin because, at least in Vedic astrology, I've seen a lot of Leos with nice skin. You may be somebody who, I'm trying to think what particular thing that Leos may do. You know, they're very particular about their presentation. Like, it almost has to be perfect in a way. And I'm thinking of Vedic Leos. In Western sign placements, I'm thinking, well, they're kind of similar but different. And in Western, the Leos that I've seen, and I'm thinking of like Pusha Leos, they're very particular about their body and sculpting it to like perfection. They don't like anything out of place. Or they can be very, very, very self-critical of themselves. Like, even if they're not that way, they don't seem that way, they may mentally be thinking like, I wish that I had this thing, I wish that my shape was like this. They're usually very, very critical of how they look, just mentally. And in terms of, I'm trying to think of the other Leos and things that I've seen, they can be very, very funny and outspoken and easily make you laugh, which makes sense because Leo is the sign of, you know, play, history, fun, relaxation, you know, putting your feet up, whatever. So they generally just think you're a person who likes to maybe crack a lot of jokes, very sharp wit, very sharp tongue. And that's pretty much how men are viewing you. They'll definitely focus a lot more on your body here because we can just look at this card. Everybody else, you know, this person's face is hidden. This person, you can sort of see their face towards the end, but the main focus is what they kind of had and the feeling that's going through. This person's face is hidden. These people are like full in the background. So what guys are generally looking at is like the full picture with you. And generally your body. So it's like personality and body is really, really like, they see those things first. I'm not saying they don't see your face and everything else next, but they see like your accomplishments and they see how you physically, your physical body is first. Those are the things that they're concentrating the most on, mainly probably the lower half. I don't know if you have a thicker lower half or whatever, but that's one of the main focal areas, okay? And this person's face is hidden and they could see their body there too. This person, you can't see their face. You see what they have. This person, you can see everything, okay? And what they have, everything what they have, except for the person here. So they're kind of just looking at like, wow, this person has a lot of different things. Maybe you dress really nice. Maybe you got designer this. Maybe you have a nice car. Maybe you have a nice house. Maybe you have a nice job. Whatever it is, guys are seeing you in that position of having like more luxury, okay? You look very luxurious. So that's something that to keep in mind. So that is what I have for you, pile number 3. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 4. Let's get started on your reading on how men view you. We have Justice. We have the Queen of Wands. We have the Devil. We have the Page of Cups. And we have the Page of Swords. Interesting. So you probably look a lot younger than you are just because we have so many pages under the Queen of Wands. But first of all, we have the Justice card coming up. And when I get the Justice card, I'm not gonna lie, it's a very intense card. It's usually a card I don't get to represent like everything going smooth or sweet or like cute or fun. It's like this very intense, strict energy. So what I mean by that is they feel like you're the type of person to call people out on their BS, to ask them, like, let's say they're somebody who's like, oh, I'm a great guy or I'm a great girl or something like that. With justice, you need evidence. So they feel like you're the type to, you know, put someone on trial and be like, hey, I need you to show me that. So you're more about actions more so than words. And that's what we have with justice. And that's the impression they get from you. So there's this very much, I guess, regal, like with the Queen of Wands here, like energy, where they need to be, guys feel like they need to be on their best behavior around you, because otherwise it's almost like you'll, you know, chop their head off or something like that. So that's something that guys pretty much see you as that swift, like, okay, you're gonna get punished if you do something wrong. Maybe not punished is the right word, but you may certainly distance yourself from them and say, okay, I don't want to deal with this type of person. Okay, so they know you're not here for the BS. Also, with justice, it means you're fair, okay? So you're definitely somebody who's balanced. You're not an unreasonable person. You're definitely a very logical person. And you're very communicative about what it is that you expect and what you want from people. And you like to be treated with mutual respect. So this is a type of energy which is why it's connected to Libra, because it has to deal with treating everyone on this equal playing field, where, oh, I respect this individual respects me. We can live in peace, okay? So that's what they get from you. They're like, okay, if I don't rock the boat, this person won't rock the boat, okay? This person's not going to come at me for no reason unless I give them a reason to do so. So they think that you're pretty fair in your actions and your decision makings, and you like to make very clear-cut decisions. I also get justice because I got this, was it last year, to represent like my year, and what it represented was doing some intense research, which makes sense. Like I said, justice is looking for evidence, looking for investigating the deeper picture. So you look beyond the surface, and that's something that they'll notice. So you may ask them a lot of different questions. You may try to get to know them on a personal level. You may ask about people's childhoods, their opinions, whatever the case may be. You're really just trying to dig deeper here, because that's what justice is about. We're trying to get to the truth of the matter, trying to see who you are. And so they feel like you're the type of person who really tries to see who it is that they are as a person. The Queen of Wands and the Devil here is pretty straightforward. They just think you're hot in general. They just think you're a very attractive, sexual person. You may have a very like beautiful side profile, possibly cute nose, cute lips, whatever, something like that. Devil is just overall just very sexual in nature. Whenever I get that card, it's just a very lustful energy, so they just think you're hot, basically, is what it's saying. I always get the Queen of Wands to represent a woman who's just exuding sexuality. It's a little bit different from all the queens can exude sexuality, but the Queen of Wands is a little bit more blatant with it. Very much what you would expect, you know, maybe tight dress, hair done, makeup, you know, could be dancing or something, whatever, I don't know, but it's just very straightforward sexuality. Like if you were like, oh, show somebody being sexy, like in a movie scene, you would probably use Queen of Wands energy, because you want to be accurately portraying that energy. And so they feel like that's pretty much you. You just exude that sexual energy. It's very in your face sometimes, or all the time, I don't know. On the other side, there is this impression where they feel like with this Queen of Wands and this Devil energy, where they may feel like you're a very sexual person, and you're a person who can be very like enticing, seductress kind of like energy. Like you put on this like I can seduce you role. It kind of reminds me of Robert Greene's what's it called? Is it Seduction? Is the book called Seduction? Is it The Power of Seduction? Whatever. I've read chapters of it, but they feel like you kind of take on that seductress or seductor. I don't know if that's even a word, but like they feel like you take on that energy, and that you can easily have people kind of like wrapped around your finger. And in a way, it can come off like they feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't trust this person because we do have it like next to the devil. And so they're like, oh, this person's a little bit smarter than they look. They might try to manipulate me. They might try to, you know, like I said, have you wrapped around their finger, something like that. So they do feel like you take on that sort of like maybe mysterious, seductress type of energy with them, okay? That's something to think about. And then if I read this like Libra and Capricorn, or I can even say this is Venus and Capricorn, or I could say this is Saturn and Libra. But if I take this as Venus and Capricorn, that's somebody who usually has a status. Like if somebody, what I've noticed about Venus and Capricorn is they usually go after people who a lot of people will admire or stands out in some way, or they'll go after people who are in positions of power. It's just something that I've noticed, and they may not think, oh, I'm going to go after this person in a position of power. They're like, no, I want to go after somebody who seems to have direction in their life, or somebody who really puts a lot of focus into who they are and what they want as a person. So that's pretty much how they're viewing you. They view you as somebody who is focusing on what they want to accomplish, being that ambitious Queen of Wands, going for it, living it. And they're like, oh, okay, this person is trying to live out their dreams. They're trying to go for what they want. And that's pretty much how they're seeing you. In general, Queen of Wands is just like overall beautiful. I get that for being somebody who, it's not just like one, it's not like, oh, this person's body's hot or this person's face hot. It's just kind of like overall hot, you know? If that sounds like a caveman. Oh, you overall hot, you know, whatever. But basically that's pretty much how they're viewing you here with this Page of Cups and this Page of Swords. That's a little bit more interesting because they kind of feel like there's this childish nature to you and maybe even a childish curiosity. And that could come with these questions that you're asking, or just being very like inviting and welcoming and being very friendly and being like, Page of Cups is a pretty sweet person. They're pretty like cutesy and they're pretty nice. So they may see you as very sweet, very nice, very likable. Page of Swords, very similar. Somebody who's a little bit more chatty, a little bit keeping the conversation light sometimes, or it may seem light. They're really not quite sure of the intentions of what it is that you may be discussing or talking about. They may feel like, oh, you're really into things that a lot of people who are youthful are into, like maybe TikTok, maybe watching YouTubers, maybe, I don't know, what do normal kids are into, like, you know, I guess adults are into this too, but it's more associated in our culture with children. Anime, cartoons, things, they may be like, oh, this person's kind of got like this childish side to them. Like, oh, this person likes to, I'm trying to think of things that is like associated with kids. Probably like going to more concerts. Adults go to concerts, but they usually go to like concerts of like older people. So they may feel like, oh, you're going to concerts of people who are younger or something like that. Or I'm trying to think of other youthful things. Maybe like certain bars, certain clubs, whatever. It doesn't matter. They feel like you're doing activities or have interests that typically people who are younger may have. Or it's associated with people who are typically younger, just based off our society. Maybe you're somebody who is like a super fan of somebody, and like being a stan or like a super fan of somebody is typically associated with younger people, right? So that's something that they see you as, okay? Just a very youthful spirit, very friendly, like I said before, very kind of talkative. Page of Swords is like the very, very curious cat. Makes sense when we have this Justice card here. Overall, they see you as somebody who's just willing to learn, take information in, and who wants to meet new people. They're not quite sure about your intentions. They're like, okay, maybe this person is just like playing with me. Maybe they're just kind of like dangling me like a puppet or something, but they're definitely interested in what it is that you have to say and what it is that you offer, okay? And then I also get the Page of Cups to represent somebody who is normally like a very model-esque kind of pretty face that's going on here. Page of Swords is more like somebody who's skilled in presenting themselves in a way that's attractive. So like putting on makeup or knowing what hairstyle works for you. I get Page of Swords and Page of Pentacles to represent things like that. Though I will say Page of Swords is more technical in their skill set than normally the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles is like, I bought the right outfit. Page of Swords is like, I styled it. You know what I mean? Like, you can buy things with the Page of Pentacles, but knowing how to style something, know what colors goes with which, know what shoes to wear with it, that's a little bit more technical, so that's a more Page of Swords energy. But generally, that's how they are viewing you. So that is what I have for you, pal. Number 4, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'll see you next time. Hey, pal. Number 5, let's get started on how men view you. We have the Queen of Wands, 4 of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and the Knight of Swords. So, obviously they view you as a very confident and beautiful, very attractive woman with the Queen of Wands, or man, with the Queen of Wands here. You're just overall a very appealing person to look at or to be in the presence of. Queen of Wands is somebody who's generally very encouraging, very, doesn't necessarily have to be high energy. They just like to encourage others to go after their desires and to succeed, as well as they focus a lot on making sure that their own dreams and aspirations come true. So, very ambitious card, very much a go-getter, very much shoot for the stars, or shoot for the moon, land among the stars, you know what I mean? Or just shoot for the moon and land on the moon. Whatever it is, they just feel like you're that personality. 4 of Wands here, sorry, 4 of Cups here means you're somebody who is never bored, or they feel like you're always somebody who has something to do, something that you need to engage in, something that catches your attention, which makes sense with this Queen of Wands energy. They're just like, okay, this person always has something to do, always has somewhere to go, always has something to be involved in. Not someone to sit around and dilly-dally at all. That is not the impression that you give. And you're generally just a very more mature person with all of these, with these queens here and the High Priestess. That's a very mature energy that you are leaning into, as well as the High Priestess is somebody who can be very mysterious, very secretive, someone who doesn't give away all of their power, or I don't know, they just don't give away all of their secrets. It's just pretty much like that. Very mysterious woman that we have on the cards here. And that's how they're viewing you. They feel like there's more to meet the eye. There's more to get to know from you. There's never a dull moment when it comes to you. And the Knight of Swords we definitely get when you're saying something that can be very surprising or shocking. The Knight of Swords definitely is someone who, they're not the type to always tell the truth. It kind of reminds me of that High Priestess energy. What's similar about it is the High Priestess is not going to, as I said, give away all of her cards. And the Knight of Swords can be that way too. The only thing is the Knight of Swords isn't the most effective communicator. However, they feel like there's aspects to your personality in which you're just like, I'm not going to mention a few things. Maybe because you may not trust someone, or because you may not feel like they'll understand exactly what you're trying to get at, the point you're trying to make. Or, you know, there's many other reasons that can possibly be. But whatever it is, they feel like they're not getting the entire full picture with you, okay? So that's just clear as day. Overall, they just see you as somebody who can give off an image which is very much like the Madonna, you know what I mean? Like, they feel like, oh, this person's a good girl, good guy, whatever, or a good woman, good man, I should say. They're like, this is the type of person who isn't, you know, out here in these streets, to put it lightly. That they just feel like that's not you, that's not who you are. I mean, think about the High Priestess. She's like fully covered. All of these cards are just like fully clothed, fully covered. Like you can't really see anything. So there's an element of almost prestige and class to it that's associated in our, especially in our media. We have this image of like, this is what a good guy does, and this is what a good woman does, you know what I mean? And usually they portray like a good woman as somebody who's not dressing in a way that's like more sexual or something like that, whatever. And so they have like this image of you that's just a little bit more, I don't know if the word is mousy or demure. That's a better word, demure, okay? Less glamour, less, well, I wouldn't say less glamour. I should say less what you would expect, like less Fashion Nova and more like Versace, you know what I mean? So something like that. Though Versace can be kind of provocative. You know what I'm talking about. More Chanel, there we go. Less Fashion Nova, more Chanel. So that's pretty much the vibe that you give off. So it's just more of a classier air to you. Definitely someone who can be very like maternal or fraternal. Somebody who looks out for other people. The Queen of Pentacles is definitely someone who supports other people's ideas and other people's projects, willing to, you know, give money to those in need or even give time, because the Queen of Pentacles just represent your resources, and time is definitely one of the resources that you have. So they just generally feel like you're a supportive person. And with the High Priestess, the most obvious interpretation that I didn't mention was they feel like you're connected to the divine, right? They feel like you have a spiritual connection or maybe even a religious connection, a connection or strong belief in a higher power or faith in something bigger than yourself. That's something that is very clear. And in the High Priestess card, you have Torah written here. And you see the High Priestess is basically holding the Torah. So she's keeping the rules of divine law. So it kind of goes back into that traditional meaning of, as I was saying before, of a good man and a good woman. You know, the basic laws that you may find in some sort of religious text or even some sort of traditional society where you're like, okay, well, I want to date just one person and I want to get to know that person, and when I'm dating I have the intention of marriage or a long-term commitment. Or someone who's just like, well, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to drink, you won't find me in the club. Somebody who can be very much like, these are the duties that I will perform as a man or a woman. Just pretty much, that's how they're viewing you. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it is how they're viewing you, okay? That vibe there is 100% there, okay? And then also with these cards, you have somebody, even though you can be very animated with this Queen of Wands energy, and the Queen of Pentacles is definitely not somebody who's socially awkward. They see you as somebody who's a little bit more reserved in a way. Not all the time. There's a fair balance of your personality traits, but for the most part, they feel like there's this very reserved energy to you. And it kind of brings me back to this Four of Cups right in the middle, where you feel like even though you may be like not pushing yourself, involving yourselves in groups or maybe even socializing or talking to people, you're not the one who's going to be the chattiest out of the group or the person who's going to like dominate conversations. You may say certain things that are important, that hold weight, that are very intelligent things to say or bring up or important points to make, but for the most part, you don't feel the need to dominate, you know, any conversations or anything like that. And that's kind of like how people are viewing you and how men specifically are seeing you. But overall, when I get the Queen of Pentacles, I forgot to mention this, I don't know why, but I generally get that to represent how men see you as somebody who's very expensive, very much somebody who's very luxurious, Very much somebody who, you know, might wear a lot of designer, might want to buy some expensive perfumes, purses, nice cars, nice vacations, whatever it is, luxury, okay? Like, pretty much, that's the Queen of Pentacles. Like, if I get this card to represent how I look that day, which I've gotten before, usually people will be like, wow, you look like you're expensive, like you're rich, okay? That's what he pretty much look like you got some money. So that's the impression that they get, that you've got a little moolah, got a little coin in your pocket, got a little piggy bank you're walking around with. They just feel like you're expensive, okay? So that is pretty much what I have for you, pile number 5. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys next time. Au revoir.